Hello, dreamers of all ages, and welcome to Catch Us at the Castle.
Hey everyone, I'm Steph Sweets.
And I'm Ed Pizza. This is the first episode of Catch Us at the Castle,
where we will be talking about everything related to Disney all the time.
And we really thought about this hard. Why does the world need another podcast about Disney? And while we came away with this answer of maybe the world doesn't need it, we both love it so much, and we really want to talk about it on a periodic basis. And as you said, Steph, we probably have some friends that'll come along.
Maybe we have some friends that'll come along for the ride.
I hope so, but
I hope so too.
At the end of the day, you know, we've spent hundreds and hundreds of days in the parks, both Disney World and Disneyland. And I mean, there's this question of why do we keep going back?
Well, I can tell you for me, I just had this conversation with my dad actually very recently when I took him back to Disneyland for the first time after 35 years.
It was such a great moment.
Yes, it was. And for me, it's being able to get away from the world, walk into those gates and forget about everything that's outside. It just fills my bucket. It is the way I am able to have a break. Some people go running. I go to Disney.
Yeah, I'm similar to you. Visited as a kid, started bringing my kids, call it 15 years ago. And there's just something about walking into the parks where it's not quite, call it suspension of disbelief, but it gives you that opportunity to just be in a special place, to be sort of transported away and just enjoy being there.
It's like being a kid again, just letting it all go. And that's really what it feels like for me. And that's why I love it.
A lot of people get frustrated by Disney, the apps and the lines and all that stuff. And there is a lot there. And I think that's part of what motivated Steph and I to think about doing our own podcast, was that we could not just share fun stories, but I think, lend a helping hand for those folks who maybe only do it once in a lifetime, but to satisfy our own cravings, to also talk about all the stuff that we really love and why we keep coming back. I tend to think about, what connects me to the parks, and it's everybody, maybe for somebody who comes as often as we go to the parks, there's this one magical moment. And for me, I remember walking in the first time we went back to the parks with our kids. My son wasn't even born yet. My daughter was probably 4 years old. And the first thing we did was go into Fantasmic at Disney World, which is a ride that wasn't even there when I was a kid, an attraction that wasn't even there when I was a kid. But it just felt so Disney and in the moment, and they had all these little things that made it special just sitting there in a theater. And it brought back all these memories because all these characters were on the screen. And I immediately felt like it hadn't been 30 years since I'd been in the parks.
Yeah, 100%. There are lots of good memories that I have with going with my kids, going with my parents and my sisters growing up. But also, like you said, that experience that we have because we're there a lot. I know that you probably are like me and constantly getting questions from friends on how to plan and how to do and how to get the most out of it because it is an expense. And so being able to put all of our knowledge somewhere for other people to benefit from is really great too.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember having a conversation with you not long after we first met because you dropped this little nugget into a messaging channel they were at that last year you visited the parks. And I don't want to get the number wrong, but it was closing in on 100 days in the parks.
Close to, yeah, just under 100 days. If you combine all of the parks, but mostly at Disneyland, if you combine all the parks, I probably was over 100, but just Disneyland was close to 100 last year. Really exciting for me. I am not sure that I'll ever top that or even come close, but I'm going to try.
That's an incredible number. I'm probably more in the 30 or 40 days a year pace right now with work and kids getting older and stuff like that. Disney World is my primary park, but I spent time at Disneyland, with you and others, and was fortunate enough to hit Tokyo Disney for the first time twice in the past 8 or 9 months. And I've spent a little bit of time over at Disneyland Paris as well, though it's been a handful of years for me. So I think we're both, to timestamp us a little bit, this is just after the announcement of the new park in Abu Dhabi. So I've still got the China parks and Hong Kong on my list. And at some point, I'm assuming you and I will end up in Abu Dhabi.
We'll see. This one's a little bit of a hard one to swallow, but yeah, we'll see. For sure. And just knowing me and the way I am with Disney, but I have all of the parks outside of the US to hit as well. I haven't been to as many as you have. And that's one of the things that I'm excited about, is to be able to have some episodes where I can really pick your brain about how to do these international parks the right way too.
It's literally like a fish out of water. If you're a Disney World or a Disneyland person and you decide to head overseas, they resemble Disney parks, but much of the infrastructure is different. There's some favorites over there, which is probably a good segue to talking about our favorite rides. And starting on your coast, I'm going to put you on the spot for your top 3 Disneyland rides.
Top 3 Disneyland rides. And this is, I feel like I always have to qualify this because I feel like there's categories of rides.
Yes, there are.
And I have favorites probably in all the different categories. But if I just were to say the ones that I want to try and hit every time I go to the parks in Disneyland, it's top of my list is Guardians of the Galaxy. I love that one, and I will try to ride it as many times as I can while I'm there, hands down. And then also Web Slingers, the technology in that, just the whole, it's incredible. And it's super fun to try and be a high scorer when you're on that ride. I'm kind of a little picky about who gets to be on my team. So I like to win. And you do play as a team in that ride. So that's super fun. And then I also really love hitting Small World because it's incredibly nostalgic for me. There's a whole story behind why I love that ride growing up. And so I really like to hit that one. I know that some people, that's their worst nightmare ride, but I really love it. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, I can certainly understand why those ones are on your list. I will say that from a Small World standpoint, just a brief aside, that when we were in Tokyo recently, they have a Groot overlay on the Small World ride, and it is incredible. I never thought it would be that good, but it really is.
Really?
It really is that good. And I'm neither,
because I can't imagine it.
I'm neither a huge Groot fan or a huge Small World fan. Like I like the ride a lot, and I like Groot, but the two together, they did a very good job on it. But anyway, try and stay on topic. For me, our lists almost overlapped, and I'll cover that in a second. For me, Haunted Mansion is on the list only because the Christmas overlay on that ride is just truly special. I really love that. So that's one that's on there for me. I really struggled between Matterhorn and Incredicoaster because they're two very different rides. But I went with Matterhorn. And then for 3, because it's such a tough thing to just pick 3, I went back and forth between Toy Story Mania and Web Slingers. And spoiler alert, because Toy Story Mania didn't make my top 3 at Disney World, I put it on my top 3 at Disneyland, even though Web Slingers is an incredible ride. I just, I love for the same reasons I think you love Web Slingers. I love the competition of that game. And so I went Toy Story, but it was tough not to choose Web Slingers.
Well, that's really interesting. Should we take a look at Disney World and see if we have any overlaps there?
Yes, I will be interested to see if we overlap. I really struggle with my top 3 at Disney World as well.
Same. So Disney World, Guardians, but it's a different ride.
Very different.
Very different.
Yep.
From Disneyland. I will say that this one made me incredibly sick, but it is an incredible ride, and I will take all the Dramamine that I need to. I hope to ride it again because it's just a really incredible ride.
Yeah.
So fun. And then Tron. I really like Tron. See, I'm going to hit all the new ones, basically. Not really. Tron. And then my third one, I have to go with Toy Story Mania because I love that ride too. So it's interesting that we overlap there, just at opposite coasts.
Yeah. Well, we do overlap on this list as well because Tron is my number 1 ride in Disney World. It's just such a very different coaster than anything else. And I think anybody that complains that the ride is too short is missing the point. You're just, it's an incredible coaster. It's just very different. I went very sentimental for my second ride, sort of matches the shirt I have on. But we're big Figment fans in my family. So Journey into Imagination made my top 3. It's not the most exciting ride. There's nothing high tech about it. But you keyed on it earlier. It's the ride that we have to ride. If we leave the parks and we haven't ridden Figment, my kids get upset. And so Figment is on our top three. And then just to stay in the thrill category, just because I think even though it's an older ride, it's so well done. I put Thunder Mountain in my top three, and I went back and forth and said it's got to be on one of my two lists, either Disneyland or Disney World. But since Matterhorn really felt like it had to have a place for Disneyland, I put Thunder on at Disney World. Sadly closed for renovation while we're recording this episode.
Yes, 100%. Exciting. I love that. Yeah, we have some similar interests and loves on those lists for
It's
sure.
tough to do a top three. I mean, there were so many. I mean, even when you like 5 is more comfortable, but to just name 3 that you have to do is tough. So
It's tough. I'm sure that we'll do more episodes down the line where we'll be able to dig in deeper.
yes, we will absolutely nerd out on this. But let's talk about food and give me one example of something that just screams Disney for you. It's your must-have when you go to the parks.
When I go to Disneyland, my must-have, there's 2 things that I just really love to have. The chips and queso at Daisy's in Toontown is amazing. So the chips, it's not taco chips, it's kettle potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get queso to go with it, and it is really, really good. Love that for a savory.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. See, I think it's kind of gone under the radar a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people know about that one. So, and then my other one that I absolutely have to have every single time I go is raspberry Mickey shaped macaron from the Jolly Holiday. I think it is the best dessert probably in all of the Disney parks, I would have to say.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I think, so first off, I would say love both of those ideas. Haven't had either one of them. Surprised I missed macaron because we're big macaron fans and we love the Baymax one at San Francisco at Disneyland.
Well, you need to have a raspberry one the next time you come because it's the best.
For me, the can't miss is a Dole Whip, which is pineapple soft serve ice cream with pineapple juice mixed together, served at Aloha Isle in Adventureland at Disney World in the Magic Kingdom. And it's great on a cold day, for sure, but also just one of those things that very first time we went to the parks, with our kids, we had a VIP guide that we scraped together enough cash to have for the day, and we were gonna do Disney ourselves the rest of the days. And she's like, "Well, hey, did you want a Dole Whip?" And we had no idea what it was, and instantly fell in love with it. So that's our sinful treat that we can't leave the parks without. And for a long time, you could only get it at Disneyland and Disney World. A little bit more widespread now, but for a long time, it was only Disneyland, and then they expanded it to Disney World. So it's a fun treat.
It is. I agree with that one. That's a good call.
In terms of things that we've done in the parks, we talked about things that we wanted to cover in this episode 0, and we figured we'd list a little bit of the crazy stuff that we've done. I have tried a number of times to ride every ride in Disney World in one day. We've done these as charitable fundraisers for a number of great charities, including Give Kids the World. I still haven't succeeded. Gotten up into the 40s, depending on when I did it. There was 50, 51, 52 rides, and it's really tough, but it has been done. So I have faith that I can do this one day.
I might have to get on the bandwagon for that one.
It's a tough one,
super
though.
Fun.
I gotta tell you, especially with all the thrill rides, because if you ride 3 or 4 of them in a row, the Dramamine needs to kick in.
The Dramamine isn't enough for me if you ride 3 or 4 in a row. Yeah. That's tough. So one of the crazy Disney things that I have done that people are always surprised to hear about, and I will say that I was probably one of the first to do this because it was a long time ago. It was 12 years ago. I went to all 6 of the parks in North America within 24 hours.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one.
I want to do that one again really bad. I'll do it smart this time. I didn't do it smart last time. I started on the West Coast because there were some exclusive character meet and greets there that I wanted to hit, and then went east. And so that made it, I came close to not being able to hit Animal Kingdom before it closed. But we made it, and we got all of them in. So it was super fun.
Well, that's right up my alley, because one of the things that's been on my list for a few years is there is an actual Guinness World, actually 2 Guinness records. One, visiting all of the parks worldwide. There's a timestamp for that one. And then there's riding every Disney ride in every Disney park worldwide. And I have my eye on both of those records. They both seem breakable, but a lot of things have to go your way. So hoping that's in my future. We talked about, does the world need another podcast about Disney? And, I think it's important for folks to understand what we bring to the table. And, quite frankly, when you get to what makes us Disney experts, I mean, you have a lot of subject matter expertise here, given your history.
Yeah, I think we both do a lot. One of the things that people might find interesting about me to know is that I'm coming out of retirement.
Yes.
So I was a podcaster before. I was an early adopter of podcasting and started in 2010 and was a podcaster about until 2019 or so. And I've been off, and Ed gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, which is show up and record and talk about Disney. So of course I'm coming out of retirement for that. But for me, that's really exciting. I still get people that message me on Instagram probably a few times a year, even this far out, asking me when I'm going to come back, telling me that they missed the podcast. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with them too. Another thing that makes us experts, and I would want to say I'm never an expert about Disney, but it's just the fact that I love it and passionate about it, and I really want to share about it. So, Ed, what makes you a Disney podcast expert?
Yeah, I am absolutely a Disney nerd, and you're right. I did try to coax you off the podcasting bench and join back up. Thankfully, we do have producer Jeremiah, who hosts a couple of other podcasts for me. And that gives us the ability to have him take care of all the post-production stuff that makes a show great, which, as you know, having done it yourself is no small feat of work. It gives us more time to focus on the content. I don't have a Disney podcast in me from before, but
But you do have a couple of successful podcasts.
I do. I've also written extensively with friends on various platforms, my own website, written for sites like The Points Guy, done tons of interviews about Disney World and Disneyland, and quite frankly, spent, hundreds of days with my kids in the parks. I love to travel as well. So I think for me, I read an incredible amount about Disney on a daily basis just because it's super interesting to me. All the nerdy stuff of, why Spider-Man can be at Disneyland but not at Disney World.
Yes.
And we'll cover that in a future episode.
Yes.
But all that stuff is locked up in my brain and will hopefully come out in these episodes. Over time, we own Disney Vacation Club points, a number of resorts. We've stayed at pretty much every hotel. We've eaten at pretty much every restaurant at Disney World. Steph and her friends, Molly and Kevin, are helping me learn all the things about Disneyland I'm not an expert on yet, so I'm getting there. But I feel like I've got plenty to share, and we're always going to stay up to date on what's out there and what's new and what's next with the parks.
Yeah, so we should mention that your kind of home park is Disney World. My home park is Disneyland. And mostly I think it's maybe proximity
Yeah.
for both of us than really anything else. I do love both of the parks, although we can get into some discussions, I'm sure, about which park is better at which thing. So that is yet to come as well.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. And as you said, Disney World is my home park really just because of proximity. I live in just outside of DC, so for me, it's a 2-hour flight to get to Disney World, where Disneyland is, a full 5-6 hour flight. And
Yeah.
I would say in a lot of ways, I prefer Disneyland for all the things that make Disney great. The authentic feel of some of the older rides and attractions, being in the black and white movies and the penny arcade theme and all that stuff that just really screams, authentic Disney and Disneyland. That being said, the space in Orlando gives them the ability to have this incredible canvas. And you could just spend a day walking around Epcot during one of the many festivals and eat your way through 15 different countries. And that's a pretty cool feature. And while Disneyland has similar festivals, they just, I won't say they suffer, but they just have less real estate. So there's just less things to absorb. And I think having been as many times as we've been to Disney World, even my kids who love the parks don't have this burning desire to do everything every time. And so that means you can take it a little bit slower and absorb things and learn about all the little nooks and crannies.
Yes, absolutely. And we will have lots and lots to say about the nooks and crannies and all of the places in between in both parks, because there are definitely things that I love about Disneyland, definitely things that I love about Disney World, and we'll have lots to share about all of those. I can't wait to be able to share all of the different things that we've learned over the years. One of the things, I live in Arizona. We didn't talk about that. So I am an hour flight from Disneyland.
Easy, yeah.
It's so easy for me to pop down there for a day. I can get airfare really affordable to go just back and forth for the day. And I've learned a lot about why it gets crowded at Disneyland during specific times versus other times. And so that'll be fun to share some of those things that I've been able to figure out just because I'm there a lot and I'm from out of state.
I am absolutely jealous of the fact that you can hop on a plane in the morning, hit the parks, and hop on a plane in the evening. That's a pretty cool feature for you, and I would definitely do that if I had the opportunity. I think when you talk about what's next for us, as you mentioned, with the number of times that we're in the parks, we pick up a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't know that will help you plan a better trip. But we've talked about diving deep into what are the best restaurants, what are the best hotels, what I would call table stakes stuff for any Disney podcast, to be able to tell you how to plan out your trip. And then from there, I think going deeper into, I think Steph has an incredible passion for everything that's happening new in the parks. And you seem to always beat me to the punch on telling me what's new and upcoming, even though I'm reading all this stuff. You're like, hey, did you know about X? And going back to, and I'm going to forget the name of it, but going back to the activity that you guys had earlier this spring, it's not Safari Day.
It was Adventureland Day.
Adventureland Day, something I'd never heard of, but looked incredible.
Yeah, it was so fun. So fun. Yeah, those are the kinds of things that I can't wait to talk about. Those are things that happen more often at Disneyland than Disney World, and there are reasons for that, which we can talk through when we talk about all of the different fun things going on. So, yeah, so exciting.
So we got lots of things to figure out about show theme and categories and how we're going to frame our topics up, but we're excited to do this. We're hoping to bring you new content every week. Steph has lots of contacts that I think we're going to try and tap into to bring some folks on that might be guest appearances to help us fill out all the information there is about parks. And we're going to be taking feedback from you guys, answering questions on the show. I've got a special little bag of giveaways from Tokyo Disney that we're going to cover in a few episodes. But we want to talk about all the things, and we want you to help us figure out what's going to make the show great by telling us what we can do better.
100%. Yes. Love hearing from listeners always.
I think that's the thing, having been in podcasting now, both of us for a long time, that it's just so easy now with social media and email and all the different mediums to pull listeners, and in this case now viewers, in for questions and feedback and stuff like that. And so we're really excited to get that going and include some of that here. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. We'll figure out all the ways to connect that will be most applicable and that people will want and need, and we're excited to do it. So,
and as two veteran podcasters, we'll figure out all the little things that once you settle into a rhythm we get to, but who opens the show and who closes the show and all that stuff, we're still figuring out. So I've gotten 20 plus minutes into our script and I'm sitting here going, gosh, I really wish that I'd written a closing for the show that we could.
We didn't even talk about that, did we?
We didn't. Veteran podcasters that we are, and I certainly can't close it the way we close the other shows. But we're 20 plus minutes in without a great ending, and I feel like we put together this awesome episode 0 for folks to have stuff to digest. And I know we're going to talk about lodging coming up soon, and we've got a current events episode coming up. But
yes.
I'll be honest when I say I feel a little sheepish that we got to this point of all the obstacles it took for us to get to the point to be able to record, and I didn't put any work into closing the show.
Well, you know what we can do? We can sign off like we've practiced before when we were in Disneyland.
Well, I am Ed Pizza,
I'm Steph Sweets.
and you can
Catch us at the castle.